comedy one about laser squids. So cartoon sea creatures with death weapons, you know. It's like SpongeBob meets Star Wars. It writes itself. And it's been a long time, but that is still my very faded and used phone case. It's from Laser Squid Nemesis. Hi, everybody. Introduce yourselves. No, never mind. We'll skip that part. I'm Dave Mattingly. We're looking at how we can use improv comedy, that skill set, tool set, process, to improve our social engineering. The stats he mentioned in the opening keynote, between 80 and 90% of breaches start from some kind of phishing, and this can help us to do that if you're on the red team, or guard against it on the blue, or for the rest of us. And I keep hitting the backwards button instead of the forwards. I've done a bunch of things. NASA, I worked for Wolfenstein back and Doom a little bit. Homeland Security, I'm at Baptist Health these days. From a non-tech, I was a radio DJ for a long time, owned a publishing company. I preach for the Christian Gamers Guild at game conventions around. Do a lot of data volunteering, music things, a lot of stuff. Early this year, I wrote my first stage comedy. It was a skit thing, so I had one of the skits I wrote, and it's a lot of fun. I try a lot of things. I've had some minor parts in minor movies. I accidentally played a bouncer in a thing, so I have real world pretend bouncer experience. Buster, you better watch your stuff. Improv comedy. Who has seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, or one of the other popular ones? Who has been to an improv show in person of some kind? They're a lot of fun. I like them. I know I could not do stand-up. That's way too much pressure and memorizing, and how is this thing going to be funny for everybody when they're all different? And that is really, really hard. But improv is just a conversation on stage with stuff that makes up. It's the things you do with the people that sit around you all the time anyway, The primary rule is yes and. When you're in an improv scene, somebody says, "Oh no, the building is on fire. What are we going to do?" You can't decide. Well, no, we're on a submarine. No, the building is on fire. You have to join what has already been established. So I say, yes, it is on fire, and it's a good thing we have our marshmallow firing crossbows or something. You just add something. You accept what is there, and then build on it. No idea gets shot down. Nothing is wrong. Well, they're all kind of wrong, but that's the whole fun of it. You start by taking what you have, adding. You accept. The next one is to connect. You need to know who your audience is. If I'm doing improv in front of a bunch of college students, probably the humor might go different places than if I was performing at a church or at an AARP meeting or something like that. Know who you're talking to. Nothing is ever going to land with everybody, but you don't want to make sure that nobody is going to like it. Improv is a team sport. You need to support your scene partner or partners. If your partner comes up with an idea, wants to help you carry this invisible dead giraffe, then you need to grab the other end and help them carry the invisible dead giraffe. Having improv people split up in their own different things, it's just going to interfere with the scene, leave the audience confused. Nobody's going to have a good time. You're all there doing the same thing for some reason. Direct. Instead of just standing, I'm here and I'm talking, you're standing there, we're just talking back and forth. It's a lot more fun if we're moving, if we are building or doing or otherwise making our bodies be part of the scene as well. Project and expect. This is the part that scares people. Follow the fear. As my old improv mentor, and I appreciate the soundtrack. That's wonderful. My improv coach always used to say that awesome is on the other side of fear. So yes, It's scary when you think about it or when you do it for the first time, but when it's done, wow, that was great. And the more you do it, my comfort zone will go from here to here to here. You get a little more used to it, and maybe I bombed, maybe I fooled myself. That's fine. It's all part of life's rich pageant, you know? And mistakes are gifts. There's a lot of times we'll do something wrong. Or we'll get somebody's name wrong, or I'll forget that we are in the getaway car, and I decide I need to stop for a passenger or something, you know. When you do it wrong, that's just even funnier. People love it, especially your fellow improv performers. It does sound scary, but there are lots of ways to get involved. There are many ways to keep your brain fresh. I had a stroke 16 years ago. I had to learn to walk and talk again, and things like this helped make sure everything keeps firing. It keeps me thinking better, which means I can do all my other things a little better. There are, in Louisville, 30, 40 improv groups, something like that. Most nights of the week, you can probably find 5 or 10 to pick from to go and check out. Most of them are sort of general purpose improv, but there are some that are specialized. The Hystericals is an all-female troupe because they're funny, plus the hysterical, you know, that came from a biological thing. But they're always a lot of fun. There are other ways to keep yourself involved creatively from a technical perspective as well. The 48-hour film project has been happening for 20 some odd years. Anybody ever worked on we have a release push, we have 2 days to work all night, get this thing out? It's like that, except you're making a film. You get your team together beforehand, and you don't know what you're going to be doing, so you have to, well, what if we need a warehouse? Well, I know this thing kind of looks like a warehouse, we can make it, because you don't know what genre of film you're making until you start on Friday, you draw it out of a hat. Might be making a musical, or a silent film, or a period piece, or time travel. You get that, everybody has 48 hours to turn in a finished film. I've been in a few of those, they're always a hoot. They will show all the submissions at Village 8, one of the local theaters. The audience can vote, and then the organizers help pick various winners, things like that. But the other trick is that everybody draws a different genre, all the teams, but you all have 3 common ingredients. You have to have a same character, you know, a name and a job, and a line of dialogue, usually pretty simple, like, what if you're wrong, or I don't know, you know, something very easy to work in, and a prop. Could be a rubber band, a hose, something like that. It's a lot of fun, and nerve-wracking and exhausting all at once. Startup weekend, we have 2 of those each year here in Louisville. You go on Friday night, pitch an idea, other people get involved. Yeah, I like that, let's work on that. You build a thing, there's prizes, some of them turn into actual real businesses and go on. There are several hackathons, so you can use various tech skills to volunteer, give back to the community. A lot of games will help you out. One of my favorites here is Who Would Win? Jim, if you don't mind, could you pick a person here? It only takes a few seconds to explain and less than 1 minute to play. Okay. All right. I have Horatio Nelson, the British, full speed ahead.
I have Cleopatra,
all right.
ancient Egyptian.
All right. So I have 20 seconds to say why Horatio would beat Cleopatra at, that's a blank one, at lion taming, or at poker, or at figure skating. And then he'd have 20 seconds to say, well, no, Cleopatra is a lot better at figure skating than Lord Nelson was because of this and that.
Yeah, she's got snakes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
You've
last
intimidated me already. Yeah. Well, that's fun. My son likes this. Sometimes wants to do it in the car as we're driving. You don't have to think a whole lot about it. Once Upon a Time is a card game where you're telling a story and you interrupt. Well, no, I have the card that says dragon. Oh, you're doing this, but then the dragon shows up, and you try to get out of your cards first as you're telling this common round-robin story. Word on the street, say anything, apples to apples, flux, booty buff, list off. A lot of games will help your mind stay creative because you have to come up with answers a lot. One thing I like about Say Anything, there are a lot of games that will reward people who come up with clever answers, and a lot of games that will come up with people who are good at guessing a number or reading people. This is a little of both. I would draw as judging around. I'd say, in my opinion, what is, and draw a card. The best hairband or something. Everybody would write something down, and I have to draw, or I have to choose among those which my favorite hairband is. It doesn't care what my favorite, what I picked from those. Then all of you vote on what I picked. So the person that picked the one I guessed gets a point, and people who picked the one that they thought I would pick also get. So it rewards both kinds of players. Lots of cool books to stimulate your creative brain. How would you move Mount Fuji? This is a story interview question book. Microsoft and a lot of companies used to use, and might still, use this as weird interview questions just to see what your thought process is and how would you get to an answer. How do they make M&Ms? How would you test a salt shaker? Count in base -2. Weird things like that to keep your brain going. Several others, and I have links up on the site of ways that you can help keep yourself creative. Public speaking at Toastmasters International. I did that for a very long time. Anybody ever been to a Toastmasters meeting or heard of it? It's a chance to practice public speaking in front of other people who are also trying to get better at public speaking. It's a very, very friendly room. The nice thing is that you get instant feedback from it. Everybody will write on a little paper, here's a comment or note, I think you did great, so you get 20 little cool slips of feedback. You have an assigned evaluator who says the goals of your particular speech this time were to do this and this and this, and you have a few paragraphs of written feedback that they also read out so everybody else hears all of your specific written feedback and can improve their own speeches that way too. And they also have a table topic time, as they call it. The table topic master will call on people and ask them a question. You have 1 to 2 minutes to respond. That's somebody time. And it could be as simple as, what was your favorite vacation? Or please describe the global economy. And something like that. You never know what it's going to be, which is a nice way to make sure your brain gears are working. Pichakcha, it's spelled like Pizza Kucha, pronounced Pichakcha, is Japanese for chit-chat. It is a public speaking competition, but the trick there is that your slides auto advance. You have 20 slides that change on their own every 20 seconds. In true Pichakcha style, you don't even see them. They're behind you. You have to know in your head, you have to have the rhythm. It's very hard to do, but if you get into one, it is a thrilling challenge. And above all, just go places, meet people, learn things, do stuff. I dabble in a lot of different things. Still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And there's just way too much life out there for me to focus on just one thing or two things. There's a website called Sharpened Design that will give you random questions. Design a set of stickers for a camping gear startup. Design a window vinyl for a bottled tea company and make it geometric. Interesting things. Locally, here are some of the groups that I mentioned. A lot of references, and all this is up on my site. Check the program. It has my Twitter account. Go to davemattingly.net and download all my various talks. And we'll do a quick demo, and I'll skip just the contact information is also in the program. Now let's do a little demo and have a bit of fun. All right, I have a white ball. It's invisible, but I have a white ball. It is roughly the size of a softball, has similar properties of a softball. And I am going to look one of you in the eye, and when our eyes meet, and I know you're paying attention, I'm going to say white ball, and I'll throw it to you, and you'll catch it. White ball. All right, you caught the white ball. You throw it to somebody else. Make eye contact. Make sure they're looking at you. And throw the white. So tell them you have the white ball.
I have the white ball.
Okay, you have the white
I
ball.
have a white ball. Florida State never misses a catch.
All right. He has the white ball. I also have a red ball. It's a little bigger. It wouldn't hurt as much if you were to get hit in the head as a softball. This white ball. This is more of a kickball type. A little squishy, has a nice bounce to it. Basketball-ish kind of. I have a red ball, and I'm going to throw this as well to somebody. Red ball. He has a red ball.
I have a red ball.
Keep throwing the white ball.
I have a white ball. Who's going to get me?
You have a red ball. Look somebody in the eye. Throw them the red ball.
Red ball. Where was the red ball?
Man, I throw it.
Find who's going to catch it. Look them in the eye. When you know they're ready for it, then you can throw the red ball.
I got the white ball. I got the white ball. Like, who wants the white ball? Okay, I got one right here. White ball.
White ball.
Anybody with the red ball? Red ball, here you go.
I got the red ball. Who wants it? I got the white ball.
I also have a blue ball. It is a lot larger, but it is very, very light. It's much like a beach ball. That's why it's blue, because it's kind of the color of the water. This is not the kind of ball I could fling like the white ball or bouncy. This one moves slowly and kind of on its own, but it's also very easy to catch. I have a blue ball, and I'm going to throw the blue ball. There you go.
Got it.
You have the blue ball.
I got a big blue ball.
Yeah. So red and white, we can keep on going. This is fun when it's the first session of the day. Then you'll see, like, throughout the conference, people throwing these balls at each other in other talks, and nobody knows what's going on. What are they throwing around?
Who wants red? And what's the white ball? Blue ball. I'll take one in your way. Got it. Shot. White ball, blue ball, Florida State. Here you go. Red. Has he got both?
White ball.
White ball. I still got the blue one.
All right, we'll put that on hold for there. So everybody, hold on, so you know where they are. We don't want to lose them because they're hard to replace. Another ball game that we'll sometimes do is to get everybody to circle. We're not going to do that just now, but we'll have imaginary ball that we just pass person to person. The trick is the ball is made of whatever we want it to be made of. So the ball might be made of electricity. And I give it to that person, and then they're carrying the electric ball, and then give it to the next person, and we run around. When it gets back to the person before the one who started, they change it. So now the ball is made of tickles. It's a tickle ball, and then they give it to the next person who's carrying a tickle ball, and then they give it, a lot of fun. It's a great way to get to know your coworkers too. You could impress your CEO possibly by giving a tickle ball. I don't know. But doing these things, and besides the improv groups who perform publicly, there are a lot of workshops, improv jams, very informal. There's no audience. You just go and practice these things with people. Improv 502 offers one every week. The Alley Theater used to do it every week. They closed down a while back. The Bardstown occasionally will do it, like once a month, have an improv jam. That's a great time if you've never tried it before, just to go and practice some of these things. So how does this interact with social engineering? Any thoughts from the audience, how this might help or hurt the ability to talk your way into or out of something?
Spontaneous.
Yes, you learn to come up with stuff. You're not reading from a script. If you're trying to break into a building, legally, of course, and the guard stops you, well, I'm here to do this thing. I didn't come up with that, but he asked me a question I wasn't prepared for. Well, obviously, I'm here for this. If you've been doing this, coming up with weird answers off and on, it isn't really as scary to do. You keep your composure. It comes off as a little more sincere because you're not totally freaking out and nervous. Oh, well, I'm just here to fix the broken thing. How else?
People let their guard down when they're laughing.
Yeah, well, improv is not always about making somebody laugh. It's about accepting, the yes and the reality. Well, yes, I am supposed to have a badge. And I will get my badge because I'm a visitor. My friend is supposed to have one for me. It's about, the more you do it, the more natural it all seems and feels. It sounds scary, but it actually helps me to de-stress. Anybody ever had an emergency at the office? Oh no, this thing is wrong, what are we gonna do? Well, we'll just do this other thing, it's okay, Yesterday, I was a rabbit on a bicycle. It's not a big deal, we'll just change this thing and now it's all right. The outside stresses don't seem as weird to me if I make myself go through very low impacts, for failure exercises. It's kind of a stress practice for me. Anything could go wrong at the office or in life or during travel, but if I practice weird, funny, terrible things a lot, they don't seem as bad. Any other ideas on how this could help with your social engineering techniques?
I think a lot of it you just have to think on your feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Being ready to give an answer regardless of what the question is. And it might be a wrong answer or a stupid or silly answer. But you ever talk to a regular normal person who got a wrong or stupid or silly answer? Happens to us all the time. But by not being freaked out about being in a situation we're prepared for, it will help. It's not as strange. What else? Let's try another game. What's a good one for a crowd that is sitting? Well, I'll give you another one that we usually do in a circle. It's a great way to get to know people by their first name that you don't. Imagine you got 10 people in a circle. In fact, we have any volunteers? Anybody want to come up? And it's going to be totally safe, nothing weird, nobody on the spot. All you're doing is learning first names. Yeah, come on up here. And camera, see if you can try to kind of keep an eye on us here. A few other folks, come on up. It works best with like 6 or more. Can we get another couple of volunteers up here?
Oh, thanks. Didn't even know it came out.
Yeah. I thought you were going to try to sell it to him or something.
No, not today.
All right. Let's circle up. So some of our backs to you. I apologize for all of that. We don't know each other. I am going to I'm going to say my first name and point to one of you. You say your first name. I'll keep my finger pointing so you know that I've already gone. Then you point to another person. They'll say their first name until all the fingers are gone and we're done pointing. All right. So, I'm Dave.
Anthony.
I'm Darius.
Nick.
I'm Shay.
All right. So now we're going to do that again. Dave, same people.
Anything.
Darius.
Oh, see?
You're totally good. See, it's all about learning and doing.
Shay.
Now we might do the same thing backwards, starting with him and you pointing back.
I'm Shay.
Jeff.
Nick.
Darius.
Anthony.
Dave. We do this a little while. We know each other's names. It's not as weird to practice doing a scene with each other. That's good. Thanks, guys.
How's that easier to remember than just going in a circle and not saying it multiple times?
Because then you only really pay attention to the person next to you or either side sometimes. It kind of goes around weird and random.
Okay.
You can also do a word association kind of thing that we're all in a circle. I pick something, I pick the color blue, and I point to somebody and they say sky, and they point to somebody else. We go around until we've all picked something, do the same thing, again, blue and then sky, work our way around. Then I'll say blue, point person, they'll say sky, and while that's happening, I'll say Dave, and then I'll point to Anthony again. So we have two different patterns, our names and our word associations going around. A very simple one, but a great warm-up improv exercise. So looking at social engineering and our rules, we have yes and. Whether you are doing a fish phone call or a vish, if you want to call it that, this makes it a little more natural that, aren't you supposed to have that code? Oh, yes, I am supposed to. My computer is rebooting right now, and I'll have it in 20, 30 seconds, I think. Or we might be writing an email or texting back and forth. It might be in person that I'm here to inspect the tapestries. I'm here to look at your data center to make sure there are no insects crawling around. Things like that. Connecting, you don't want to come up with something that is weird for the place that you were going into or that you're talking to. And if I'm trying to get into a military base, I probably wouldn't come up with something weird that I'm the new garbage man. I'm here to empty your dumpsters. Maybe I would do that, but it helps to know who you expect to talk to and what kind of things they are used to and they expect. Support your partner. If you have two people going in, working together, you need to back each other up. I don't want to call Jim Joe after I've called him Jim already, because we're obviously using aliases because we belong here. We aren't us. We're these people who work here, obviously. You don't want to get your stories wrong midstream. Direct, focus on action. If you are doing something with your hands, or I drop papers, picking them up, that will put the focus on the thing that is happening rather than looking you at the eye and making you sweat. And wait a minute, I thought you're not on those slips, but if there is something else happening, it can act as a distraction. And follow the fear. It is scary to talk your way into a place where you aren't supposed to be. Most of us are honest-ish people. But if you want to get, backstage at a concert, it isn't a pen test job. There are a lot of things we might want to talk our way into. Then doing things that are scary and outside our norm, that's when it gets cool and fun. Doesn't always work, but that will give you a great story, assuming you're alive at the end of it. Yeah, I think it might be Chris Hadney. He tells a story about going to a military thing, and hey, what if we go at night and check this thing out? And they end up, hands behind the head on the knees, guys with guns pointing. I wouldn't want to be in that one. But otherwise, trying to get someplace where you're not supposed to be, do something you're not supposed to, is informative and fun. And then it also works in reverse. If you've done some of this, it's you're working me, aren't you? It becomes a little more obvious that you're just making this up as you go. I can tell. You aren't using the same kind of terminology we usually use. You aren't doing it at the time of day. We usually do these sorts of things. As you practice improv, or even just watch and read about improv, it's a good way to make sure that you're on your guard and you can recognize improv behavior in the wild, as it were. There's an improv company in New York that I love. They're called Improv Everywhere. And instead of just being up on a stage performing, the guy who founded it couldn't really get an improv gig. Said, I'm just going to get a couple friends. We'll just do something in the middle of the crowd, kind of a flash mob improv. The first one they did, which became so popular, it is now an annual event, is the No Pants Subway Ride. A guy would get on the subway, you got a suit and tie, nice shiny shoes, underwear, of course, but no pants. Carrying a briefcase, just grab it, he's riding like normal. Next stop, somebody else gets on without pants. Do like 5, 6 stops, and then somebody comes on, I'm selling pairs of pants here, $1. He brightened a bunch of people's day just by doing something weird and funny. Another one of theirs I like is the Random Parade. Somebody wearing a majorette, is that the right, with the big kind of like fluffy red hat and the baton and all that. Just find somebody walking on the street. Hey, can you lead our parade? Our parade leader's gone. We just need somebody to be our leader. If you can take this, I'm going to just go on to the ATM over here. Well, that's fine. We'll just do the parade and just follow you here. Okay, you grab it, and then out of the alley, like 20, 30 people come with their tubas and doing the whole parade, clanging, and then they'll go hide for the next person. It's just a fun way to get some creativity, exercise, give people a story they'll tell forever. They'll also do things like just happen to wear blue shirts and khakis and all go to Best Buy at the same time, or whatever the Best Buy colors are.
I like their central station.
Yeah, but they're a lot of fun. I always like to watch them and see the creativity and the strange things they come up with. Years ago, I was actually on the Drew Carey thing. I got to do a scene with some of his guys. It's always a blast. I never expected that, but you never know what's going to happen. If you don't try, you'll never get there. Who has done or tried to defend against some social engineering attacks in the past? Right before lunch, I got a call about my car warranty. It sounded pretty important. I probably should get on that, like right away.
Get a free knee brace too.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yeah. All right, excellent, yeah. The more of these that you are exposed to and a part of, the easier. Well, we all know the Nigerian prince, the car warranty, the IRS. But can you tell when somebody is tailgating you into your building? I swipe the badge, I walk in, and it's almost closed. They'll come and walk in. They're busy doing a thing. Maybe they belong. Maybe they don't.
They've got 6 copies and.
Yeah. It might be somebody. It might be your boss.
Yeah.
But.
We did that.
Maybe he got fired 2 hours ago. You don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not your boss anymore. Yeah.
No, say we did that, and we changed. It was just a 1-hour presentation in social engineering. We tag teamed, and so I started and then I left and came back wearing a painter's outfit. So
Yeah.
How do you perceive me now?
Yeah.
So it changes the perception of what people think the vision.
Yeah, if you're wearing a uniform, or you're carrying a clipboard, you're in a hurry, you can get anywhere.
You go to Goodwill and get in.
Yeah.
Ladder.
No, that's good. I never thought about a ladder. I like that one.
People hold the door open for you.
Yeah. I've seen women use the fake pregnancy belly to hide their like pineapple in, or whatever, a lockpick equipment they might need just to have it. Yeah, everybody, oh yeah, here, I'll get that for you. Nobody ever asked for badges. You can get away with what they call pregnancy brain. Oh, I can't even remember my own name, and oh, that's fine. My wife did the same thing. And then they get in, they take off the belly, and they get to work and hack into the systems, and lots of ways to get past one obstacle. Then you get the next obstacle, try to find your way in. The more practice you have by going to improv workshops, maybe trying a troupe, or even just watching a lot of improv, the more practice you have, the easier it gets. And focusing on the action. Yeah, I'm carrying all the coffees. I just dropped my thing and it spilled everywhere. Oh my gosh! Hold on, let me get this for you. My friend accidentally spills water on me, and I have to get up and go change. Lots of ways you can use that to help you distract. Because it's all smoke and mirrors, misdirection. I don't want you to know what I'm really doing. I just want to somehow get from here to over there. Oh, my badge isn't working. I don't know. Well, that's probably because it's not a badge. It's just a piece of paper that looks like a badge, but it's not scanning. But 20 seconds ago, when the last person went in, I recorded the badge beep sound, so I can press the beep. It's not working. Beep. Hey, I'm not sure. Can I go into the security desk? Beep, and they can fix me up. It must have got degassed. Held it too close to my magnet that I keep in my pocket. I don't know. The action, the props, things to do besides just me and you make it a lot easier to get the focus away from me doing something naughty. I might be doing something naughty right now. You wouldn't even know. And mistakes are gifts. If you're on a pen test assignment, you want to get caught. Sort of. That's the goal: is to teach people to catch us. It's great if we can get 2 or 3 steps in and say, here are a couple things you can fix. But if they are totally on the ball, that is great news. We failed because they're awesome. And that is wonderful news to give. A lot of ways to find out information about the targets. I always like the no-tech OSCET. Looking at the ball cap somebody's wearing, hey, my daughter goes to that college or something. Johnny Long does a great one about just looking at stickers on the backs of people's car. I know how many kids you have, I know where you go to school, I know how you vote, or looking at what you can find sitting on the dash. There was a great talk at this conference a few years ago about dumpster diving. You make a big splash. I'm the security auditor. I'm walking through the building. Hey, I'm going to be looking at all the trash, things like that. And then I crumple up a red Post-it note, put it in a garbage bag, crumple up a yellow one over here, a green one, so I know where those came from when I check the garbage tomorrow. I know which desk or which area. And I want to look for this specific department. I'll leave my little color code things. Now I know where I'm heading. Don't have to look at every bag.
I like what that guy did as well when he said that they kind of got wise to him. And then he went to the cleaning crew and said, give me $1 for every bag that you bring to my office. And they did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. What do they care?
Yeah.
But
You got creative.
they're almost always contracted. They aren't usually employees of, well, whatever. I'm just getting this much an hour, Yeah. Go for another game. Let's see, what's a good sit-down game? Can I get one person, one volunteer? Come up and do a thing. Or not. Dang introverts. I'm an introvert myself. I'm kind of an omnivert. I'm all the verts now. I'm an intro and extroverts. I can switch back as needed. I've learned it getting in front of people It's scary. I realized in college that I was afraid of public speaking. Like, all things considered, that's kind of a silly thing to be afraid of. That's one of the main reasons I got the job at the campus radio. Well, if I wanted to see the people, I could probably talk to them. And that was okay. It worked out all right. And then I got a job as a TA. Well, if I know something they don't know and they're paying to be there to listen to me, I can probably do that. And that went okay. And then, this is whatever. I can talk to you. It's not that big a deal. Then when I had my stroke years ago, I had to learn how to get it all working together again. And Toastmasters helped me with that. I gave a little over 50 speeches in 1 year, various places around, and that really helped me get my rhythm, my confidence, my voice as a speaker. Usually prepared speeches or training. Sometimes off the cuff, I won a citywide humorous speaking contest where we random questions. I think we had 20 some odd entrants. The one that got me advanced to the next round was that the mayor just put you in charge of transportation for the city. What do you do to smooth out Louisville's transportation problems? I knew I had to make it memorable and interesting for people to, this is one of the guys who should advance. People would say, buses, like rails, change the roads. No. Zeppelins, we need Zeppelins. You bring Zeppelins into the city, people hang on to bungees and you just float around where they need, and went on like that for a couple minutes. And that guy's interesting. We'll let him go to the next round and work his way up, The ridiculous can be fun. And the stranger you get when you practice, the easier it gets when you have to do it for real. If you want to be able to make more gestures or give more body language in public, then when you practice, I need to make wild gestures and weird things just to get my body. Okay, so when I do it for real, I'm like this. Seems a little more natural, a little more confident. I've done, you get to the point where you can do keynotes, an hour-long thing on a couple minutes notes. Most of my speeches, I've got like 3 bullet points and kind of make it up from there. I have fun with my preaching because I usually preach at weirdo events. Comic cons, game cons, punk concerts, horror conventions, things like that. So I get to preach about zombies and pirates and aliens and weird things, which makes it fun. How am I going to make this all fit? You find a way to get creative and then do some things. And it's all about the improv, accepting the situation you're in, adding to it, making it stronger or better. Improv comedy, it's very improv, not as much comedy. We aren't trying to be funny. The scene is funny. You don't have to try to be funny because that's what the environment provides. It's all about working with your scene partner or partners. And if I have to be 4 people in the same scene, just flipping back and forth. So when I get out into reality and I have to social engineer my way into or out of something, I've already tried this 20 different ways. It's not as weird or as hard. Just like with any muscle, our brain is an organ. The more we use it, the stronger it will get. As we come up with new ideas and approaches, we develop new neural pathways. The more that neurons fire down that pathway, the stronger it gets, the more natural it feels. So if I keep doing everything the same way over and over, I've got this really strong mental rut that's in me. But if I try it a little differently, then I have a new way. It's not as strong, but it's there. I can do it again, make it stronger. How many of us drive to and from work the same way all the time? I try to, at least every couple of weeks, take a back road or a way I've never been. Might be faster, probably not. It's probably going to be slower, but I'll see a part of the city that maybe I don't see very often.
Throw your tail off.
Yeah, exactly. Got to change rides. Yeah, I'll hop in a taxi. Yeah. You never know who's following you. It's probably him. At DerbyCon, they'd always have a hack your derby competition. Either you buy a real derby hat, or they'll give you a cheap, 10-cent plastic hat. You take this plus whatever you have on hand and decorate it. Some people will get all out and have one with mechanical parts, pineapples or lighting up disco things. A few years ago, I won by taking police crime scene tape that I had in my trunk. We all have police crime scene tape in our trunks, right? And making a thought crime hat, Because it's all about what you have on hand as part of the competition to make, and this just a way to be creative with what you have around you. A couple years ago, I took a bunch of derbies and stapled them together inside out, making a 12-sided hat. I could spin upside down, so I made a derby dodecahedron hat that I could take off and roll with numbers on the inside. Didn't know it would work until I had finished stapling together. Yes, it fits, and I can make it stay on my head. Things like that make it help exercise the creative side of our brain. Growing up, I was an artist, switched to math and tech later, but I also minored in psychology and philosophy to understand how the digital world works, and also how our brains work, and also how the meta-reality works. I still don't know any of it, but that's the theory, Try to use your left and right half of your brains. The skills you develop in improv are creativity and communication. And those are the two most sought after soft skills in this field, in almost any field. Getting new ideas, new approaches and ways to do things, and understanding and projecting back out with your teammates. Learning how to talk the same language. As my old improv coach would say, improv improves every other area of your life. You might be overselling a little, but not that much, I don't think. By improving my creativity, communication skills, it's a lot easier to get ahead at the office. It's easier to trick my kids into behaving. Easier to get out, easier to manage my own life and tendencies. Easier to manage projects and goals. Because I've had experience at looking at things many different ways. The more I do that, the more natural it feels. And my coach always said, follow fear. Awesome is on the other side of fear. I've done a lot of things I've never done before because I've never done this. Why not try it? Never thought I would be in a movie. Never thought I would write a play. Never thought I would write a book. Never thought I would found several companies. Never thought I would do like Apple. I mean, I still don't know what I do most of the time, so it's kind of a new surprise every day. But by intentionally doing things odd or strange or unusual, that way I don't have the same 10 ruts in my neural pathways doing the same stuff the same way all the time. My last job, I was at the same company, but I had 5 different jobs in the 5 years I was there. Went from developer to scrum master to master data manager to QA on the tech side, and I think something else. Very different parts of IT, but I jump back and forth between them all because I have learned to do things a little differently as I go. Any thoughts on social engineering and how improv might help as we get ready to close?
Yeah, so I can see how how this would be important to be able to get to outside of your comfort zone, learning how to do that, to be able to do social engineering. Is that the biggest hurdle that you think for first-time social engineering, especially on a face-to-face basis, like trying to get into a building, or is it something else?
It is feeling comfortable inside your own skin and role, I think, is the main thing. If you look nervous, then you act nervous. You can see that you're nervous, that makes you feel more nervous, and it feeds on itself. But if it's just, hey, I'm here to help Bob with the thing, I'll be here 20 minutes, out of your hair before you know it, then it's a lot easier to get things done. So just having a safe practice area before you have to take it out and put yourself on the line. It'll help develop the confidence, the creativity to come up with something as you need, because you do it all the time.
You think that distraction works really well in social engineering. I mean, it seems like the more things that are going on, the less time somebody has to focus on a specific, portion of it, and you got them, kind of running around, hair on fire, kind of thing.
It does help a lot. Anybody in law enforcement or adjacent? A lot of criminal duos will, I'm trying to rob the jewelry store. I'll ask the clerk a couple weird questions, have him reach that thing behind the counter and turn his back so my partner over here can do this other thing because they're all busy, or I'll accidentally, knock over the spinning rack of things. Oh no, can I help you pick them up? And while we're looking there, something else is going on.
Yeah.
They have, that is their job, is to steal things by distracting. And we can learn from them as well.
I think I saw a YouTube that was at DEF CON several years back, and a young lady there there was a reporter, and she's a social engineer, and told him that she could probably figure out, what his bank account was. And so, the whole scenario, he said, well, I don't think you can, my bank's pretty good, and I trust them and everything. And she went in and she called the bank and claimed to be his wife. And then next thing you know, she's got her phone, and she hits this thing on her phone, and the baby starts
crying sound recording.
Baby crying sound.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then she starts getting a little upset on the phone, and she's going, my husband told me to do this, and I don't know
why I got dropped from the account. I was on there for 6 years.
I'm going to get in trouble, and the baby's crying, and all this stuff was going on, and they literally gave her the account number of the phone.
Added her into the system. Now she has full rights to go in.
Changed his password, and he's like, what?
Yep.
So, I mean, all those tools, work, and she was perfect at that.
Yeah, that's a class. We'll look up, I think, voice fish baby cry or something, and you'll find that one. It's like 5-6 minutes long. It's an incredible example.
It was like a DEF CON.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you practice with the voice changer software?
I don't, although I don't tend to focus on the voice. I'm more in person.
Well, I know, but you're talking, so you have to pick words that a woman would say.
Oh, if I were
changer.
to masquerade as a woman, I've got like some costumes and such, but
Well, I meant
only
on
for
the
special
phone.
occasions.
Engineering on the phone. There's another YouTube that came out recently. I saw on LinkedIn.
Okay. On Chris on social-engineer.org, lots and lots of great information there. He found that women are like 80% more effective than men on voice calls or something. So now women do all the things at his company when it goes to fishing. And that's also a good thing for parts of the country and accents, things like that. You want to try to, a New York person in Texas would stand out the way they talk, vice versa. Kentucky, we sound like we don't have shoes no matter where we go. Not that much we can help with that, except travel and experience. going, learning, doing. Now that is what's going to help all of us with all the things that we need to do. Any one last question before we close here? All right. Well then, go forth and make stuff up.